Good evening. I am grateful for this invitation. As I reflect over the last year and a half, I am reminded my journey in Naperville began on a listening tour to gain knowledge important to the work of diversity, equity, and inclusion by hearing from people who live, work, learn, eat, play, and pray in Naperville. Through the motto used to launch this work, on Thursday evening 2 days ago, we embarked upon the leveraging or action piece in the listening, learning, and leveraging model being utilized to build the work. We launched Embrace Naperville, empowering our mission through a year of learning. In our first ever diversity, equity, and inclusion roundtable called The Power of Inclusion. We are on an important journey for the entire city, including the faith community. In life, I have learned the greatest power we possess as a human race is the power to love, something my younger self did not appreciate fully. But at this stage and station in life, I have come to embrace the fact love has power. Today, I invite you on a journey inside the power of love. I grew up not far from here in Joliet. My parents migrated from the rural South with nothing more than love and determination to create a better life for what would become a family of 7. Education was the mantra in our household, and 4 of their 5 children are college educated, 3 at the doctoral level. Love was the foundation and guiding factor in our home, a value that was passed to me naturally as the youngest. Education, an unrelenting familial community, and a purposeful love ethic grounded and shaped me for life. Fast forward, most of my adult life has been as an attorney. I have also been scholar, teacher, ordained clergy, consultant, pastor, and now inclusion champion. Throughout my career, I found myself working tirelessly to distance my life as minister from any and everything that was not specifically related thereto. In my mind, there was little room for my secular, social, professional, and vocational lives to cross the invisible lines I had drawn to prove that I could be a lawyer, yet not allow my sacred beliefs to dominate interactions with others. Boy, did I have a lot to learn. One day while at McDonald's, a staff attorney who reported to me suggested I would be an even better lawyer and leader if only I made room to bring all of me to work. Stay with me. I am on my way somewhere. I had been lauded for my skill as an attorney, influencing lawyers at home and abroad, traveling to many places around the world, helping lawyers learn the skill of protecting brand McDonald's. I was good at what I did. So what could he be talking about? Bring all of me to work. There I stood a full 10 years before the phrase, bring your whole self to work, gained notoriety, being challenged by an employee on my approach to life itself. The very thing I was attempting to avoid was now staring me in the face. As I gave more thought to my colleague's recommendation, it occurred to me he was saying people will connect with you at a deeper level if only they could experience your many dimensions. Your dimensions, he said, shape you as a person and leader, and people want to experience and connect with the breadth of uniqueness that it makes you, you. So for the first time in my career, I was being challenged to piece together what I came to understand later was a divided life. I had largely kept from others the fact I was both minister and lawyer. I didn't want to be singled out as the religious one who had lacked the know-how to keep my personal, professional, and vocational lives segregated. Word choice, purposeful. But now I understand my whole self in all of its experiential expressions, is connected. A profound teaching that paved the way for me to stand before you today, no longer divided, but my whole transformed self, a transformation shaped wholly by love. So you ask, how were you transformed by love? I've come a long way in my thinking about love as a leading factor in how I show up. And one thing is certain, by grounding everything I do in the belief that love has transforming power, has made all the difference in my life. Today, I dare talk about 5 indicators of love that transform my thinking and therefore my approach to everything. Giving, believing, forgiving, receiving, and dying have changed my engagement with others from transactional to relational. I invite you to indulge me for a few moments. I promise to connect God's word for the weekend with your readings, offering you an opportunity to connect at a very personal level. Giving. Giving is an act of love that often points to sacrifice. Which one of us did not want our parent to give up something, to gift us with something for which we had been asking? Giving denotes serving, and serving is a transformative act of love. What is more, sustained relationship is impossible without giving. When I show up prepared to give, I call that love. Believing. Where there is love, belief or faith lingers somewhere close by. When I believe in someone or something, it is an outgrowth of an underlying relationship, one where trust has become foundational, making room to include the other. If we believe in one another, then together we can accomplish feats otherwise unlikely. When I show up believing even in what others may consider impossible, I call that love. Forgiving. If love were a coin, forgiving would be the other side. If you say you love others, forgiveness is integral because inevitably one or the other will do something that requires one to forgive or be forgiven. You could not grow up in my household without forgiveness, and did not God forgive us all? So when I show up with a heart prepared to forgive, I call that love. Receiving. Earlier, I explained that giving is an act of love, but a gift becomes a gift only after it has been offered and received. And not only must I give, but also receive, and not only receive, but also give. Without giving and receiving, the possibility of love is diminished. It is the exchange that fosters love and acceptance. When I show up prepared to receive, I call that love. And finally, dying. When I speak of death and love, I do not speak of a physical death. But if my relationships are to prosper, there are things within that need to die to make a healthy relationship possible. Some things must die. Some behaviors must die. Some thinking must die. Must something die? Some ego must die. Some attitudes, ideals, and maybe even ideas must die. Very few, if any, relationships succeed without the parties agreeing to let something go. If there is love, hearts must be willing to sacrifice something for the sake of the other. When I show up prepared to show, some things must be given up and die. I call that love. So what is my message today? I, you, we have a responsibility to love. It remains the only thing that will change the world. As a human race, we have the power to love, and love has power. Love can impact the heart even of an enemy. Still, as humans, we are limited to what is within our control. Only the power to love. But there is greater, the power of love. And the power of love comes from outside of us. It is offered to us because alone we are incapable of real love. It is up to us to accept this greater power of love because it facilitates our capacity and power to love. When I learned I had the power to love, drawn from the greater source, the power of love I call God, I mustered courage to embrace the gift of all of me and decided to invite my whole self into every space where I encounter others. And only there can I make a difference. Along this DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging journey, one of the things that the city has learned is that everyone is not at the same place on inclusion as everyone else. And an increasing awareness is paramount. Conversation is paramount. Over the next year, we will dig deeper into that key word in our mission statement, inclusion. Which I surmise is embedded in the message of love that fills the gaps in the pages of the biblical text that we read week after week after week. At the city, we aim to raise awareness over the next year through events that will not only bring us together, but also offer opportunities to learn and participate. We seek to elevate all of us across this community and create a culture of inclusion wherein each person can choose to use their social capital to uplift. Community means we come together understanding the key to transforming a community begins when we shift our attention from problems of community to the possibility of community. A stronger sense of an inclusive community happens when all types of people feel welcomed and that they belong. It will take a deliberate coming together, which reminds me of something I learned from my tenure at McDonald's Corporation. It was a saying coined by the founder that had been baked into the organization's fabric. None of us is as good as all of us. As I hastened toward my close the other night, someone asked our guest speaker a question prefaced by her belief there are 4 types of people in the world: those who embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion, those who are interested in DEI, those who believe it has no value, and those who work against its ideals. Her question reminded me of what lies beneath your readings. First, in Malachi, here the people complained, "It is useless to serve God because evildoers continue to prosper." But the writer assures them there will be justice for those who reverence the Lord's name by following God's instructions, even when they do not make sense to them. Does this not call those who claim to believe to follow all God's commands, the greatest of which is to love the Lord with everything you have within and to love your neighbor as yourself? This work of diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging has a great deal to do with loving your neighbor and embracing a kind of social justice for all. In like manner, Paul, in his letter to Thessalonica, reminds them of the importance of toiling to spread the gospel, not only in word, but also in deed, rather than meddling in the concerns of others. The truth is, spreading the gospel at its core means spreading the love of Jesus Christ. In this work, there is opportunity to do what Jesus did, to show love, compassion, and concern for the least of these. There is a kind of quieting when we come together for the purpose of uplifting all, which fits rather nicely into four of the Catholic social teaching principles: human dignity, common good, solidarity or coming together, and subsidiarity, allowing all the right to participate in that which affects them. And in your final reading from the gospel, we learn we must persevere in a manner that bears witness to the reality of Jesus Christ and his resurrection. One manner in which to bear witness about Jesus is how we interact with others, how we live our lives in a fallen and broken world, how we live to be a witness that God created all, bearing witness through the fruit of our labor. Our fruit is to encourage community across Naperville and beyond by embracing its diversity, as we each are unique in how God created us, supporting equity, access, and opportunity for everyone, and offering a welcoming environment where the few and the many feel valued. That is the transformative power of love demonstrated in our individual and collective power to love. It is the one thing that will make all of the difference. Amen.